Hi, I'm Shannon from houseimprovements.com, and I'm going to show you how to install a crown mold on top of these upper kitchen cabinets. The crown mold we're using today already has the cleat attached, and by that I mean this piece here. Well, obviously this is all one piece, but this part here is what sits on top of the cabinet. So it would sit up there like that, and the rest would be the decorative hangover that you would see. Another option you would have is some of them will have a separate cleat that you would nail onto the top of the cabinet first. So it might be 5/8 of an inch thick, and you'd stick it out where you want, and then the crown mold wouldn't have this piece on it. It would just be the profile, and you would nail it to the front of there. So depending on what you have, some of the process might be a little bit different. This one's a little easier just because it's all one piece. I find it's a little bit quicker. The molding itself is a little more expensive, but saves a little bit of time. So I've actually gone ahead and pre-cut all the pieces, but I'm just going to kind of talk you through that a little bit here to start with. First thing you want to do, and my instructions are going to be, because we're dealing with this type of crown, so this is what my videos entailed are going to cover. So what I've done is I've figured out how much of an overhang I want my crown to have outside of all the finished panels, how I want it to look. And then I've figured out then where this back point of the crown is going to be on top of the cabinets, and I've traced a line out all the way around on the cabinetry so that I can kind of follow that and use that to measure from. So you can see my lines here, I think, going along there. Okay, so mark that all out. That gives you basically your map of where you're going to follow. From that point, I can take measurements. For this first piece, I can measure right from the wall right to this intersecting point. Then I know that when I cut my piece, that's from this corner back here to this corner here, and so on. So I can just make all those cuts. Now this particular setup, everything is 90-degree corners. So my cuts are all 45 degrees. So like this, for instance, is this first piece that comes along here. So I've got a 45-degree cut here, short point being back in this corner, long point being there. Then this next piece that works in the zigzag here, this is the way it looks from the top. And it sits in here like so. So you've got one long point out here and one short point over here, so that it can make this zigzag curve back around. Sorry, just trying to give you an idea here. So it's going to do this jog that we've got here. And I kind of specifically picked this set of cabinets just because it does have an outside corner and an inside corner. Now there could be situations where you've got maybe a cabinet that sits angled across a corner or something like that, so you might be dealing with some different angles there. So obviously you're going to have to cut to deal with whatever angle you've got. Like I said, in this case we're got some basic 90-degree angles, 45-degree cuts. So as far as cutting the material on the saw, this type, because it's got the cleat all attached, what I do is I set the trim right on the saw. In fact, if the camera just follows me, you're okay up there, I think. But I can set my trim right on the saw bed. This is the side right that's viewable from when it's sitting up. So I set it right on the saw bed, right against the back fence, and I adjust my saw to whatever angle I'm cutting. And to do this cut, what I do is I bring this saw, I've got the sliding compound, so I can bring it out and down. I'd start my blade here. I'm not going to do it just for the noise factor, but I'd start my blade out here, plunged right down, and slowly draw it back through that crown mold. That way I'm getting a nice clean cut on the bottom side. I'm not really too worried about what happens on the top side here. It's actually cutting pretty good anyways, but I'm more worried about what's visible here on the bottom. So as my blade's cutting, it's already down through the face of the wood, and if it's going to chip out or tear out, it's going to be on the upper back side. So that's the basic cuts on there. But just to speed up this video a little bit, I just kind of pre-cut everything. There might be some slight adjustments I've got to do as we go along, but we'll go back up top and I'll kind of start to assemble this corner and you can see how it's done. Okay, so like I said, this is our first piece. I'm just going to clean off any dust that was up there. And I can just get an eyeball idea by lining it up to my line on the back side. You're probably not going to be able to see that too well from there. And just slide my other piece in just to see what it looks like. I'm going to have a look up top here for how I am on my line. Looks pretty good. So I know I'm going to be happy with those two first cuts. Now I like to use more of a caulking type adhesive than a glue. I just find it bonds better to the melamine than wood glue does. So I'm going to put a little bead of it, wipe any dust off. This is the piece that will contact the cabinet, and I'm going to keep it back towards the back edge. I'm just going to put a little bead of it right on there. And I'm just basically going to be nailing right down through there with my brad nailer. Make sure your nails are short enough that they don't protrude through the bottom edge inside of the cabinet. So I can start out by placing this one where I wanted it. Just trying to get it lined up on that line there nice. Oops, that moved on me. Try not to get in the way of the camera, but probably am. Okay, so I just nailed that one in place just like that. So now it makes things a little bit easier for the next pieces as I go along, and I just kind of work my way around the cabinet. So now I can just see how my pieces are going to sit nice. Something else that I did, you can probably see that this edge is kind of shaded in on the cut. After I cut everything, I took a black marker and I just blacked out this edge. That way, sometimes your cuts don't completely close right up, but at least that way it basically blacks it out, and from the floor it's very much less noticeable because you don't have that raw wood light line inside of there, especially when we're using such a dark finish. So again, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this piece, getting rid of dust. I'm actually going to use a little bit of this just on the miter as well. I'm trying to keep it back so if it squishes out, it doesn't hopefully end up out on the front edge. You could use wood glue for that particular spot as well. I just have to move things around till it fits nice here on the miter. And I don't know if you're going to see anything once I get my head and my nail gun and everything in there, but I just got to get positioned right on my lines. Just having a little trouble here. Oops. The tighter you are to the ceiling, the more trouble it's going to give you to get your gun in there. Now, with the miters, just take a little bit of painter's tape, line your miter up. You can see how this one wants to sit a little goofy from each other. Just line your miter up and use the painter's tape to basically hold it up in there into place. And once that adhesive dries that I put on there, you can pull the tape off, obviously. Okay, so we got that one. And you can see how we're just getting a nice even overhang around the perimeter of the finished edge of the cabinets. And again, I'm just dry fitting this piece. One thing I find with this molding is from length of molding to length of molding, the profile can sometimes slightly differ. So I try to cut it, if I've got a 10-foot piece of molding, I try to cut all my pieces out of that piece to go around the one cabinet, so when it all butts together, I have a better chance of it lining up nice. So this is looking good. So I'm going to glue this one. Be sure you're putting the glue on the right spot. I Had to think about that for a minute, so I didn't put the glue on the face. Get rid of that, put a little bit of glue back here in the joint. Okay, and we'll just let the camera reset so that you can kind of see what I'm doing from the back side. Okay, so I can set this one down into place here. Slide it over to the piece I already attached. And I'm just checking that everything's kind of lining up nice. Looks pretty good there. So I can tack this back area, brad nailer. Just double check. Okay, so we got that one attached. I've also put on my safety goggles. Safety guy was on my back, so be safe. Right, safety guy? Length is okay. Okay, so again, I'm just working my way around here. Just double checking that my marks and everything are working out. Something's a little goofy here. I'm getting a little bit of an open gap on my miter. I'm just having a look here to see if maybe my cut is off a little bit. Okay, I'm going to sneak over in front of the camera guy here to see where the end ended up. Pretty good there. Let's see how this one is. I'm just kind of dry fitting here to around the other edge. Okay, so I'm just going to adjust. I might have cut this angle just a little bit off, so I'm just going to touch that up a little bit on the saw. See if that makes it look better. Oh yeah, it's looking better already. Okay, yeah, that's better. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and glue and nail that one on. Just get my gun up here. That's handier to reach. I'm going to put my glue on the cabinet this time. Glue on the end here. One thing you can do afterwards is also go back on the back side of all these miters and just put some more glue on it, or good caulking, good adhesive, and that'll help hold them together nicely. Okay, so I'm just setting this in here. Gonna maneuver my miter here to look good. Okay, I can see I'm trailing a little bit off of my line there, but I like the way my miter's looking better. And I'm just looking how I'm following the cabinet. I'm actually following the cabinet not too bad, so I'm going to stick with that. I may have had this corner a little bit not 100% square possibly, or the two cabinets may not be 100% square to each other either. So I'm just going to put one in here Right now, I'll put a bit of tape on this miter out here. So it just takes a bit of fiddling around to get it on there until you're happy. Takes a little bit of patience. Okay, taped up my miters. They all still look good. They didn't move. So I'm going to just move down here and see how this last piece fits. It probably will need a slight adjustment. I usually try to cut these ones just a hair long so that I can always trim it off. I think the camera's going to have to reposition anyways. So. Okay, so we just moved around here. I'm just seeing how this piece fits. I thought I might have to trim it off, but it's actually fitting really nice. So I'm glad it wasn't any shorter. That's going to be good. So I'm just going to pop some glue on here and quickly nail that down. We'll do a quick wrap up. So like I was saying, sorry. Like I was saying before, there's different types and profiles and whatever of different crowns. So what you have you may have to adjust what I've showed you here just slightly to adapt to the type of crown you have. Okay, I'm just looking down the cabinet here, looking how my miter looks. That looks pretty good right there. Throw a quick tape on this joint before the glue sets up. Okay, so that's how I would go about installing this type of crown mold. Make sure you glue it down, not just with, don't just nail it on or screw it on. Put some kind of adhesive there that'll make it stay a little stronger. Use glue or adhesive in your joints. Tape your joints. It's a good hint just to get them lined up by hand and then tape them into position. Once you peel that tape off, like I said, you could put some more adhesive up the back side of all those joints and you know, kind of work it into, if there's any space there, just work it in there so it actually bonds better. But that's the basic idea of it. So anyways, if you like that, click the like button, the little thumbs up icon there. Down below here somewhere on the page. And also you can check us out on the forum at our website at house-improvements.com. There are lots of different topics there, and you might have some questions on this or something else you're working on. Just post it up there and I'll do my best to give you an answer. Thanks for watching.